joined now by someone who'll give a good stab at it all, foreign editor at the Australian, Greg Sheridan. If we were ever going to have influence anywhere, it would be PNG. And what strikes me as bizarre, Greg, you know, we know the rhythm of PNG. We knew this big 50-year independence celebration was there in the diary, in the calendar, and there were events in Moresby around that. The fact that that's been used as some sort of excuse not to sign off this deal strikes me as a little bit convenient, and I fear, like the Vanuatu one just the other day that fell over as well, there's a heavy hand of Beijing here.
Well, Peter, it's great to be with you, and I think you're absolutely right. I mean, this is a tremendous humiliation for the Albanese government. Its Pacific policy is just like its defence policy. It announces things as done, which never actually come into being. I tell you what, you can't do a security deal with Vanuatu, you can't do a security deal with Papua New Guinea, but you can solve Palestine. I mean, you can't bend Port Vila to your will, but you can fix up Palestine. Either this was monumental incompetence in management.
You mean administratively?
Administratively. Yeah. Either, you know, God bless our High Commissioner, I don't know them individually, but either just at the professional level, this was wildly incompetent. This is meant to be our core interest, the place in the world where we have the most influence in the world, and we managed to get our Prime Minister and their Prime Minister and no treaty to sign because all the PNG cabinet ministers are often there.
Yeah, they can't get a caucus in cabinet. I think that's
bizarre. Or more likely, Kurt Campbell, the former Deputy Secretary of State, said China will oppose Australia every step of the way, every initiative, especially things like defence treaties, which they hate. And they have a long history of stopping treaties which are agreed between governments, and they then get to the individual politicians and stop the ratification. They did this famously with the 1992 Philippines base treaty with the Americans. And I don't have evidence, but I would have the strongest suspicion of a Chinese hand here, in which case it may not be signed in 2 weeks. Albanese promises this, but he's promised so many other things, I'd hold the celebrations just yet.
So I paid credit to the government at the top of the show for being, I think, more on the front foot about our region than perhaps the most immediate coalition government was. But there are no results here. And if we're going to be influential anyway, we should be influential in our region. And America's expecting us to deliver. We're not able to deliver. We're not delivering on much. We've made all these long finger commitments to defence spending to try and buy ourselves a meeting with Donald Trump. Again, people are asking, what are we doing in terms of the detail? Where is that money in the budget? Is it real? Or is it, you know, way, way off down past the forward estimates? There are real questions about the government's strategic focus.
Look, Peter, to be honest with you, this is a government of flim-flam in strategic matters. All this fake money that they're talking about for defence and the PNG initiative are designed to impress Donald Trump before Albanese's appointment with him. But it's very embarrassing. Their best chance is that Donald Trump is not paying them a blind bit of attention, which is quite likely. But you're absolutely right. This point cannot be stressed too much. PNG is core national interest business to Australia. I would like Albanese just to forget about global warming, forget about Palestine, leave the Middle East alone and just secure an outcome in Papua New Guinea. If he did that, that would be more of a contribution to Australia's national interest. But we can't even do that. We announce it and the government congratulates itself and then it doesn't land. And who knows if it will land. And if it is defeated, that's a tremendous victory for China.
Cracking piece today from you in relation to net zero, and you make the very sober analysis of where the rest of the world is on net zero and broadly the walking away from it. You know, hard right-wingers like Tony Blair are saying nothing adds up. And you're calling on the coalition to take a position, to hold themselves together, to be a viable alternative to a government that's flailing around. Do you think they're going to listen?
Well, I don't know. I think both sides of the coalition have to compromise a little bit. Net zero, as we know, is a fraudulent concept. It's complete baloney. The Economist magazine, the House Journal of Liberal Internationalism, in August had a cover story saying it's never going to happen, let's stop talking about it. And, you know, Trump has abandoned it, Britain is running away from it, the Europeans are running away from
India, China,
India,
Russia.
China, not got the slightest interest. Russia, Indonesia, all the nations where emissions are booming.
Why can't we just say that, Greg?
Well, there is an artificial roof of an agreement where people say they have a commitment to. So one of the things The Economist said was countries' commitment to net zero look barely possible physically and completely unfeasible politically. In other words, you just can't get there from here, and it can't be done anyway. Now, I would say the coalition, they've got to demonstrate maturity on both sides of their internal debate. I mean, I admire Matt Canavan and Andrew Hastie and Jacinta Price, but the anti-net zero folks have got to allow the pro-net zero folks just a fig leaf of respectability. So I would suggest to them they take a position like, we are going to decrease emissions, and if the technology ever emerges which makes net zero possible, yes,
i.e. bracket nuclear.
Yeah, nuclear and cheaper renewables and so on. If that ever emerges, we're interested in that, but we are going to prioritise affordable electricity and reliable electricity. Now, the net zero folks can say, well, look, we're doing the technology. And, Hastie and Canavan and the guys and gals can say, look, we've liberated you from this terrible target.
I think the problem is, Greg, though, the 2030 targets, the 2035 targets, and there'll be 2040 targets, they're all predicated on a destination of net zero in 2050. And I think we have to completely jettison that to recast these numbers as achievable. If we're not going to get to 2030, then we can't go harder and deeper and faster at 2035 because we're setting ourselves up to fail. I think the Liberal Party should be saying, if the rest of the world, and give a percentage of heavy emitters, 60%, 50% even, if they move and are demonstrably shown to move, then we'll put it back on the table. But that's our threshold point. Until that happens, no joy.
Oh, absolutely.
No joy.
They can't dodge this decision.
No.
They have to ditch net zero as a binding target.
Yeah.
I don't mind it as some kind of aspiration. I mean, some people in the Liberal Party think you should never again, but maybe repurpose the slogan, net zero increase in your energy prices, or something like that.
Mañana. I want to talk about Christianity just quickly because you've got this brilliant new book. Thank you for a copy. I'll put it up on the screen for everyone. 2 bestsellers on the issue of Christianity. Who would have thought that in this modern world? But I tell you what has told me, Greg, that you have picked this issue before anyone else. The reaction, particularly of young people, to the assassination of Charlie Kirk says to me that people are searching for faith.
Well, Peter, I think that's right. So this book is called How Christians Can Succeed Today, and it tries to look at the early Christians 2,000 years ago and learn cultural and lifestyle and practice lessons for us today. But I had to rewrite the intro of this book when I was finished it because the decline of Christianity in the West has stopped. And the reason it stopped is because the Gen Zers are much more religious than anyone ever expected them to be. So, we've seen this terrible assassination of Charlie Kirk and so forth, and I don't embrace all his views, but he certainly said good things about Christianity and the family and so on. And we've seen the internet saint that the Catholic Church recently canonised. And young people, we've seen the extraordinary impact that Jordan Peterson has with young men.
Yes.
And young people, I describe them in a sense, if they're under 40, unless they went to a Christian school, they've never heard of Christianity. And in a sense, they're the new pagans. But therefore, they're not immune to Christianity.
All right. You give us hope. We need a bit of hope. Thanks, Greg.